Hello, and my name is Ava, and welcome to part 2 of the Beginner's Guide to Mythic Plus. In this part, we'll be going more in depth into some extra steps that may help you once you've gotten used to the Mythic Plus system and are ready to reach higher goals. If you're still new to the Mythic Plus system and are worried of where to start, you can go back to part 1 where I went through the beginning steps of learning the system. In this part, we'll be going over add-ons, crafted gear and optimizing, routes, interrupts and CC, and defensives. Step 1. Add-ons. Now if you watch the first part, you might be thinking why I did not mention the use of add-ons to new players. Personally, the use of add-ons should be used to not over-confuse or distract you in keys. When doing Mythic Plus for the first time, you should get used to the game's mechanics before getting overcomplicated with other add-ons. Add-ons should be used to create visual clarity for stuff you may be missing. Add-ons can help you, and I'd like to go over some of them that I found to help me complete my own keys, but they are personal preference, so don't feel like you do have to download them if you don't want them. Firstly, all add-ons shown in the video are downloaded from an app called CurseForge, which you can download online. Once downloaded, you'll be able to search for add-ons and press download, which will automatically get sent to your World of Warcraft add-ons folder, ready for you for the next time you load into the game. You can, however, manually search and download for all add-ons online. However, the issue with this is when the add-on is out of date, you'll have to reinstall and re-download every single time the add-on is out of date, rather than the app which will automatically update whenever the add-on is out of date. The first add-on I'd like to talk about is plated nameplates. Plated nameplates are a great tool at following mobs' health. The issue with the current nameplates in the base game is they're very limited to what you can change and can be kinda hard to see. What plated does allow you to change is the size, spacing and the effects on the nameplates, which can help for visual clarity. You can also change the colour of different spells to aid you in understanding what to interrupt. They're also very versatile. If you don't feel like creating your own nameplates, you can also go online and find other plated profiles and find a way to make them work for you. The second add-on I recommend you using is an add-on called Details. Details is an add-on that tracks what goes on in a fight, like damage, healing, damage taken, interrupts and more. It's a great tool to look back on after a key to see where you can improve on. This can be things like matching your DPS if it's low. If you have died a lot in a key, you can look back and see where the damage came from and see if it was able to be avoided. This add-on is great for finding out where you can improve on in each key. The third add-on I'd like to bring up is Big Wigs and Little Wigs. Big Wigs and Little Wigs is a duo add-on which allows you to see boss and add mechanics using a tracker before they're going to happen. This allows you to pre-plan using defensives, or if you need to move for a mechanic if needed. It's a great add-on for you to be able to predict and react faster than you would without it. The fourth add-on I recommend you using is Omni CD. It is, however, mostly used for healers and tanks, and is a way to track the cooldowns and defensives. It's a great tool for group content where you're unable to communicate clearly, like being on a voice call. It allows you to be aware of your teammates' defensives, where they might need extra healing, or if you're a tank without defensive cooldowns, you may need some extra help to survive a mechanic. The last add-on I'd like to recommend is an add-on called MDT, or Mythic Dungeon Tools. It's a way to be able to go through and find what adds do in a dungeon. It's also a great tool for creating routes and following mob percentages over the dungeon. But we'll go over what MDT does later on in the video. Now we've just had a deep dive into some add-ons, the next step is gear and optimizing. One main thing in Mythic Plus is trying to optimize to the most damage in healing as possible. This is to increase your chances in completing the key. There's a few things you can do to achieve this. Crafted gear is something you gain over time each week the patch is out. You gain 1 spark per week, and once you have reached 2 sparks, you can now craft a piece of gear. You can do this by going to a vendor and requesting a specific piece of gear to be crafted. That and the rest of the materials you can either buy through the auction house or collect it yourself will allow you to get a piece of gear. Crafted gear is a way to gain item level and stats on pieces of gear that you are missing. So let's say you have all of your gear set at 650 item level, but your weapon is only 620 item level. You can now go and craft a weapon to gain more stats. You will, however, also need crests. I partly went over crests in the last video as a way to upgrade your gear. There are 4 different types of crests you can gain, each having different levels of difficulty to obtain, but also using different levels of gear. Weathered Undermine crests come from World Quests, Delves at level 1 to 5, Heroic Dungeons and LFR Raid. Carved crests come from Delves 6 to 8, Mythic Zeros to level 3 and normal raids. Ruined crests drop from Mythic Dungeons 4 to 7, Heroic Raid and Delves 8 to 11. Gilded, the top tier crest, drops from Delves bounty maps on tier 8, Mythic Dungeons level 8 and above, and Mythic Raid. At the start of a patch, crests are capped, meaning you can't collect more than the cap that's limited. However, eventually, these quests do become uncapped later on in the patch, where you'll be able to collect as many as you want. Now you might be thinking, but how do I know my gear is good? Well, as a key rule, item level is base and will give you the biggest damage buff. However, once you reach the place where you're happy with your item level, you may want to start looking at secondary stats, and this is a way to optimize your character. You can also do this by adding food, pots, flasks, enchantments and gems. To find what is best for your class and spec, I'd recommend looking at Icy Veins and Wowhead, as they give the best guides to help you find what you're looking for. The other way you can do this and optimize your character is to use an app called Raidbots. This is where you sim your character. Simming your character means that you'll look at the gear that you have and it will compare it and will tell you which piece of gear will give you the most amount of damage for your character. This is a really good way for finding gear if you're trying to push to the highest keys. However, this is a step for people that are really trying to push. So if you don't feel like you want to push that far into keys, or you're not comfortable as of yet, you may want to skip out this step. Up next we have routes, and this is where MDT comes in, or Mythic Dungeon Tools. Using MDT, this is mostly tanks, will sit and look at which ads are the most effective for the time. What this means is to see what causes the least amount of hassle for the most percent. For early keys, this tends to not matter, as you'll most likely time the key on just damage alone. But as you progress into keys, this becomes more and more important. Using MDT, this will help see what packs are possible and what are not, but also it becomes a trial and error. This is where you'll have to test to see what's possible and what isn't. Some groups may also ask to see your routes before starting the key, which you can send via the chat, and it allows you to see other people's routes as well. Players also do put their effective routes online, which you can import and test out for yourself, and this can be really useful when pushing keys. Lastly, on this part, I'd like to talk about CC, interrupts and defensives. Now you might be thinking, what are these? CC or crowd control are a way to stop or limit mobs' abilities. Interrupts are a way to stop casts, and defensives are a way to reduce or stop incoming damage. These 3 things are a key part of Mythic Plus and buttons that you want to be pressing as much as possible. However, knowing when to kick or CC a pack is also really important, because you don't want to kick or interrupt something that doesn't need to be kicked. The way that you want to have kicks and interrupts or defensives is a way to stop and reduce deaths, which could end up failing the key. In early keys, you are unlikely to die due to missed interrupts, or if you forget to press a defensive. However, whenever the damage starts fully scaling, these mechanics may end up one-shotting you, so knowing which ones need to be prevented will help you stand out from being a good or a bad player. Well, that's all I had for this part. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you found this video helpful for progressing keys. Good luck and goodbye.